In the dimly lit halls of Baghdad's grand libraries, where the scent of ink and parchment hung heavy in the air, voices once rose, not in debate, but in verse. Imagine a world where poets were more powerful than politicians, their words as feared as swords, where a single line of poetry could destroy a man's reputation or immortalize his name for centuries. This was the Abbasid Caliphate. This was the age of poets. Help us financially. Links in the description. The Abbasid Caliphate, born in 750 CE and reigning for centuries, was not just a political empire, it was a cultural phenomenon. At its peak, the Abbasid capital of Baghdad was the beating heart of the Islamic Golden Age, and among its greatest treasures were not gold or silk, but poets. Let's begin with Abu Nuwas, the wild genius of his time. Born of mixed Arab and Persian heritage, Abu Nuwas became a symbol of the cosmopolitan nature of Abbasid society. He was a court poet under Caliph Harun al-Rashid, the same ruler who appears in the tales of 1001 Nights. Abu Nuwas did not write to please the pious. His poetry was often scandalous, filled with wine, love, and freedom. He once wrote, "Da'anik lomi fa inna lom igra'u wa dawani billati kanat hiya daw." Leave off your blame, for blame is but a temptation, and cure me with the very thing that was once my affliction. Abu Nuwas was no stranger to controversy, but his wit, wordplay, and raw honesty captivated the court. He represented the playful, irreverent spirit of an era unafraid to challenge norms. Then there was Al-Mutanabbi, whose name means the one who claims to be a prophet. Born in Kufa in the 10th century, Al-Mutanabbi's poetry was thunderous with pride and self-confidence. He was perhaps the greatest Arab poet to ever live, and his verses still echo in Arab culture today. He once wrote, إِذَا غَامَرْتَ فِي شَرَفٍ مُرُومٍ فَلَا تُقْنَعْ بِدُونِ النُّجُومِ. If you venture in pursuit of lofty honor, then do not settle for anything less than the stars. Al-Mutanabbi's tongue was a double-edged sword. He earned powerful friends and even more powerful enemies. Legend says he was killed by bandits after refusing to run away because he could not live up to his own boastful lines about courage. He died as he lived, by the sword of his own words. Next, we meet Al-Ma'ari, the blind philosopher poet of Syria. Unlike Abu Nuwas or Al-Mutanabbi, Al-Ma'ari was somber, introspective, and deeply skeptical of the world around him. He lived in isolation, refusing meat and critiquing religious dogma, social hypocrisy, and human arrogance. He wrote, "Hada ma janah obi alay wa ma janaytu ala ahad." This is what my father has brought upon me, and I have brought harm to no one. His poems were not popular in the courts, but they found life centuries later in the pens of philosophers and reformers. Al-Ma'ari's brilliance lay in his quiet defiance. The Abbasids didn't just tolerate poets, they elevated them. The Beit al-Hikmah, the House of Wisdom in Baghdad, was filled with scholars, translators, and poets. Poetry was everywhere, in palaces, in gardens, in marketplaces. A well-spoken verse could earn you a fortune, or exile. And women, too, took part in this poetic explosion. Wallada bint al-Mustakfi, though later from Cordoba in Al-Andalus, lived in the Abbasid shadow and carried its poetic legacy. She was bold, independent, and unapologetically expressive in an age that often silenced women. She once embroidered a verse into her robe, "Ana wallah aslahu lil-ma'ali wa amshi mashayti wa atihi tayha." By God, I was made for greatness. I walk with pride and exude my glory. Though the Abbasids would eventually fall to Mongol invaders in 1258, their poetic legacy did not die. These verses, written in candlelit chambers, recited in moonlit gardens, survived the collapse of empires. They lived on in manuscripts, in oral tradition, and now in the very language we speak today. Poetry under the Abbasids was more than art. It was a mirror of society, a weapon of dissent, a voice for the voiceless. It gave soul to an empire that sought not only to rule but to illuminate. And even now, when we read their lines, we do not simply witness history, we feel it. We hear it, we live it. Help us financially, links in the description. The Abbasid poets were not just creators of rhyme, they were architects of emotion, philosophers of the soul, and rebels of the pen. Their verses challenged power, celebrated love, mourned loss, and glorified life. In their poetry, we find echoes of an age that valued beauty, intellect, and the boundless potential of human expression. If you've felt the magic of this golden age and want to help us continue sharing these voices from the past, please consider supporting us through donation, sharing this content, or subscribing to our channel. it makes all the difference. Thank you for joining us on this journey through time, through verse, and through the hearts of those who dared to dream in ink. Until next time, stay curious and never underestimate the power of a well-chosen word.